Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we're going to continue looking at the January 2021 Principles of Business Paper 2. So the January 2021 Principles of Business Paper 2. So that's the most recent paper 2 that they've had out there. And so we're going to continue by looking at question number 3. Previously we looked at question 1 and 2. And so we're going to continue from 3 naturally. Alright, but first things first, make sure you like the video, you share the video, you hit the notification bell so you know when the next video drops in this series, and we can just jump right into it after all that house cleaning has been taken care of. Alright, so number 3, this is on production. Define the term factors of production. Define the term factors of production. A very simple, straightforward definition, 2 marks. So the factors of production are the resources used to create goods and services, or the inputs used to create goods and services, or the inputs that are used in the production process, if you want to put it as simple as that. I think the textbook has it as the inputs to a production process. All right, so that's what this textbook has it as. But you know, I don't really, sometimes I don't like to use the word in the definition, so I didn't want to use production again, so I'll just say the inputs used to make goods and or services, and that would be the factors of production. So very easy, 2 marks for that one. Production is a very easy chapter for POB. Then we have 2. List 4 factors of production. List the 4 factors of production. So the 4 factors of production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, or some others might call it management. So that's land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So you have it right here. You have factors of production. They include land, labor, capital, and of course enterprise or entrepreneurship or management. So that's what the textbook has them as right there: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So you have land right there, labor, capital, and enterprise or management or entrepreneurship. So they ask you to list them, not define them, and so you just list them 1, 2, 3, 4, and easy like that. You have 6 marks out of the 20, right? You have 6 marks out of the 20. We're almost there. Then part 3, define the term extractive production. Define the term extractive production. So the extractive level of production is the removal of natural resources that are found on the surface of the earth or in the crust of the earth. So that's things like farming, mining, those things. You're taking them from the earth. So the removal of natural resources from the earth is what you call extractive production. But if you want to get all booky, then you know primary production and the extractive industry are one in the same. So primary production specializes in the extraction of natural raw materials such as food crops, oil, coal, and wood. So it's the extraction of natural raw materials from the earth. That is the extractive industry or the extractive production. And so that's the first state of production right there, extraction. So easy like that. We have 4, 6, so that's 8 marks. Easy like that. So we're 40% there. We have 40% there for question 3. So if I were to choose, naturally, I would have done question 3. So far, so good. Then we have B, and next 2 marks 1. Identify 2 industries that could be developed from agricultural produce in the Caribbean. So identify 2 industries that can be developed from agricultural produce in the Caribbean. And of course, you would see the rum industry, because you know you use sugar cane and things like that to make rum. You have a lot of agro processing industries such as packing fruits, processing fruits, canned fruits, those kind of things can develop from agriculture. And so you have, so it's a lot of them that can develop from agriculture, and all you have to do is look at what is being produced, and you can see the industry being developed from that. You have the dairy industry, because you have the livestock farmers, and so that's an industry that can develop from agriculture. Of course, you have the meat packing industry, the meat industry, the juicing industry. What else? There's so many things. Just think about food and you get the industry that correlates to that type of food. And so all you have to do is look around the Caribbean and you see all these industries that originated from agriculture. Look at Jamaica and the coffee, Blue Mountain coffee. That is from agriculture. Look at Grenada and all of the spices and things like that. That is from agriculture. So those are examples of industries that could be developed from the agricultural produce in the Caribbean. So you have all of the sauce, the hot sauce market. That's from agriculture. Jerk sauce, whatever, agriculture. So you can see where I'm going with this. It's a lot. Agriculture is the base for so many things. Then we have C. Outline 2 benefits of developing backward linkage industry. Outline 2 benefits of developing backward linkage industries. So first and foremost, what is a backward linkage? And what an example. So what are the benefits of developing a backward linkage? So a backward linkage is a linkage that goes from one level of production to the one just before it. So for example, it can go from tertiary back down to secondary, or from secondary back down to primary, or even from tertiary all the way down to primary, whichever one you have to do it. So that's the backward linkage. And so what are some benefits of developing a backward linkage? But if you want to get too textbooky about it, backward linkages are when one industry creates a demand for the product of another industry. For example, supermarkets, restaurants, and coffee shops will sell instant and filter coffee onto consumers. These retailers rely on the manufacturer to supply them with the products to meet consumer demand. And so you see one benefit right there, a supply chain. So one benefit of having a backward linkage is that you secure a supply chain for the raw materials that you need to get your finished product out. So that's one advantage. You're securing a supply chain. So it's almost automatically that you have a supply base, a supply link, and so you don't have to go and wonder where you're going to get your raw materials from. If you have a backward linkage, then you have the supply chain right there. Our next major benefit, of course, to backward linkage is the fact that you can reduce your costs. Your cost of production can be reduced if you have a more efficient, less disrupted supply chain. So apart from solidifying a supply chain, you actually can reduce your costs of production, and so that would allow you to be able to be more competitive, right? So you can mix those together if you want to. So one is the cost is reduced because you have a established supply chain, and then you can use that cost to gain an advantage over the competitors. So that can make you more competitive if your supply chain is one of your competitive advantages, your core advantages that you have over other producers. So right there we have 3 right there. So you have a secure supply chain, you can reduce costs, and it can make you more competitive in terms of competing with other producers. You have 3 right there. And of course there are others out there that you can use. You look in the textbook and find, and you have a few here. They don't really distinguish between backward and forward, but you have some out here. And so you can say that a backward linkage can reduce importation, and so that can help money stay within the country. You can reduce importation if you can source these things from a company on the ground. And so that would be a good advantage for you as a producer, meaning that you don't have to go overseas to try and get any of your raw materials. So all those are benefits of having a backward linkage with some other company. And you can see the examples out there. And of course, I've done a video on production already. I've also done a video on all of these things, linkages. And so you can check that lecture video so you can get a deeper understanding of what we are talking about. Alright, so that's it for that one. 4 easy marks. Just outline the 2 and you're good to go. Then we have D. Explain how 2 factors could affect a country's supply of labor. Explain how 2 factors could affect a country's supply of labor. And so you have a few factors that can affect the country's supply of labor, but we're going to just dig into a few that they ask for. Of course, one of the key factors that would affect a country's supply of labor would be the population. And so if a country has a high population, of course, the supply of labor would be higher. But if the country have a low population, then the supply of labor would be lower. But there are certain things that affects the country's population outside of birth rate and death rate. One of the big things that affect a country's population and therefore the supply of labor is migration. Migration is one of those things that affect a country's supply of labor, where besides birth rate and death rate and those things. So migration. And so migration, there are various reasons why people migrate, but there are two main factors that cause people to migrate as it relates to labor. And so those are what you call the push factors and the pull factors. And if you go to your textbook, the textbook outlines first of all, I'll give you a definition for migration. Occurs when people move from one area to another to live. Internal migration refers to the migration within a country, and international migration refers to migration between countries. An immigrant is a person who leaves the place they are from to live elsewhere. An immigrant is a person who settles in a new place, having resided somewhere else before, such as their native land. What we're focusing on here now are these two factors right here, the push factors and the pull factors. So the push factors encourage people to leave an area. These include discrimination, unemployment, low income, limited opportunities for personnel, growth, and crime. So the push factors would cause the supply of labor in an area to go down because pushing people out of that area. Go look for better opportunities. Then you have the pull factors, which entice people to move to a particular area. These include freedom, jobs, high income opportunities for personal growth, and peace. So almost the opposite of this one. And so those are factors that would cause supply of labor to go up in an area that persons are migrating to. And so you have those two factors right there. So you have the push factors, the pull factors. And you have examples here again. Push factors, people leave their home environment because of unemployment, low wages, poor living conditions, few educational and career opportunities, conflict and crime, natural disasters. Pull factors, people are attracted to a new environment because of employment opportunities, high wages, good living conditions, good educational and career opportunities, safe and peaceful living conditions. And so those are factors that can influence the supply of labor. So all of them are part of migration, and they can influence the supply of labor. So outside of the more technical factors such as the birth rate and the death rate and the overall population size and the population density, because you can see how those can affect your supply of labor also. A high birth rate, a large population means that you have a higher pool to pull from, so your supply of labor would be higher. If you have a higher population, small population would be the opposite. If you have a high birth rate, of course, I mean, you're adding to the population, and so therefore you would increase the pool later on, and that would impact the supply of labor also. But then if you have a high death rate, then of course that would reduce the population also, and also the supply of labor. So those are things to consider as it relates to that question. But for the most part, we will look at the push factors and the pull factors, and immigration as one of the key factors that would affect a country's supply of labor. All right, so that's 6 marks. So what you do, you outline migration, define it, then you look at the push factors, pull factors, define them, give examples, and see how they affect the country's supply of labor. The push would cause supply of labor to what? To fall. And the pull would cause supply of labor to increase because they are positive things people are looking for. All right. So that's basically it for number 3. That's a 6 marker right there. So that's basically it for number 3 on the January 2021 Principles of Business paper 2. All right, so that's it for this question. So next time we're going to jump into question number 4. Each paper has 5 questions, so we have 2 more videos to look at to complete the January 2021 paper. And so next time we're going to be looking at question 4 and that is all about a little marketing goodness going on here. All right, so we look at that, and then eventually we'll get to question 5, which we're looking at, the last part of the CXC syllabus, looking at, quality of life, standard of living, GDP, those kind of things. So the economics of POB. All right, so that's it for now. You know what to do now. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to know when Learn SKN drops another video. All right, so thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.